2 weeks ago, I played the part of a roadie and I went on my very first road ride with zero preparation. On that ride, I rode 101 miles on this bike right here. Here's the Strava data. Not only was it my first road ride, but mile one of that ride was the first time that I had ever ridden a bike with drop bars, a gravel bike or a road bike. For that matter, the bike I rode it on, I got out of the box just 2 days prior to my ride. If you didn't see the video, go check this video out. Now, I had no intention in making a follow up video. I didn't want to milk the experience for views or attention, but the feedback was great, and a lot of people reached out to me both publicly and personally and asked for a follow up and had a lot of great questions. So I thought I'd throw a quick video together to wrap up my experience. The first question is why? Well, there are really, I guess, four reasons why, and I'll be quick about them. One is I spend a lot of time in the woods on a mountain bike. Now I primarily just go out to ride jumps and I ride my bike over and off of features. In terms of mountain biking, I've never even ridden a cross country bike, and you would be surprised at how much fun you can have on a mountain bike in just a very small footprint in the woods. However, people on the outside might look in on what I do in the woods on my bike and think that looks totally crazy. But for me, I feel like I'm in total control, which got me to thinking, what can I do on a bike where I feel out of my element and out of control? And the simple answer was a road ride. The other thing is, I don't understand the team mentality in terms of cycling. There's mountain bikers and there's cyclists, and a lot of mountain bikers will talk trash on the spandex wearing road jockeys, and the road jockeys will talk trash on the baggy panted potheads. And to me, it doesn't really matter about what we're riding or what we do on what we're riding. It's more about what that does for us up here. So I thought by being a mountain biker and jumping on a road bike and getting out there and reaching for a lofty goal, I could perhaps motivate some people that, would never have thought that that was a possibility. Finally, I post educational mountain biking content on YouTube, and my family doesn't watch any of that stuff. They have no interest in bikes or how to jump a mountain bike. For that matter, I'm not even sure if they watched this ride video. But here's the thing, I'm not going to be around forever. There will come a time when I'm no longer on this earth and I'm going to leave family behind. And posting videos like this is a great opportunity for my daughter to spend time with dad when he's gone and enjoy with me an experience that was important to me. And while my tutorials might not offer that same level of emotional connection, videos like this ride might. So now let's not get too dark and let's talk about the bike. So why did I pick a sub $300 gravel bike? Well, to be honest with you, my budget was low because when I went into this, I was not even sure if I could ride more than, say, 30 miles on the road. And I didn't want to invest a lot of money in an experience which would ultimately be a failure. When I had this idea, it was honestly me going into the great unknown. I had no understanding of what it would take or what the experience would be like. So $300 and less was justifiable for me. So why a gravel bike? Well, when I was looking at bikes in that low price range, a gravel bike just seemed to be a little bit more robust. And when I plotted out my 100-mile route, I was unsure if all the roads would be paved or, what I might have to detour and ride over. And a bike that's just a little bit more robust just was a little bit more confidence inspiring. And also, here's an important thing about me. So I'm more about uh, motivation than I am about merchandise. So I will spend more time getting motivated for the challenge than I will online and shopping for all of the right merchandise to make it happen. For instance, when I did this ride, it's just the bike out of the box. I did no upgrades. I threw a water bottle cages on there and like a phone mount, but I didn't change the tires. I still had the gravel tires on. The clothing I wore was not aerodynamic. It was just super cheap baggy stuff. I used the mountain bike helmet that I've been using for years. Definitely not aerodynamic. I just used basic flat pedals. And for me, the underdog with all of these underdog elements, making this experience successful would felt so much more rewarding to me than had I invested in a lot of money to make this happen. Now, I'm not saying that folks that invest money into a comfortable ride are in the wrong. That's totally up to any individual how they want to do it. And it's not for me to say, but for me, that's how I roll. If it's good enough for me. Why did I go alone? Well, it's just kind of my MO. I feel like I've built a foundation of confidence because the majority of things I've accomplished in my life, I've done them on my own. I'm not really the type of person that asks for help, and I was just kind of try to figure things out on my own. And that was kind of the same here from preparation or lack of preparation to the ride itself. I feel like had I brought somebody else into the equation, I would have put a pressure on them where they knew that I was relying on them for my success when ideally I should only ever rely on myself for my success. So this bike out of the box, it actually shifted like absolute garbage. The front derailleur was all twisted, so I had to align that, and some cable tensioning was needed. But I was able to get it shifting somewhat smoothly after about 15 or 20 minutes. And then what I did was I jumped on it just to make sure that it would shift with a body on the bike, and I rode maybe 300 feet to the end of my driveway and back. And that was all that I rode before that bike ride because everything felt completely different than what I expected. I thought I was going to get on a drop bar bike and every pedal stroke was going to feel like it was a rocket powered ship and I would glide for days. But that wasn't the case. It felt heavy, it felt clumsy. My posture felt awful. Now, when it comes to bike fit, perhaps there could have been changes in the stem and some other minor tweaks here and there. But I know the basics of bike fit as far as saddle height goes and seat angle and that sort of thing. So I was able to get it adjusted to the best of my abilities without investing any more money into it. With that being said, it was still a very uncomfortable ride, and I can't really blame that on the bike. It's really me to blame because it was the first time I was ever on a drop bar bike, and the new experience, for me, obviously was not going to feel comfortable compared to what I've been used to, my enduro mountain bike. So I can't blame the bike for the comfort. I blame the lack of preparation on me for the lack of comfort. Now, during my ride, you heard a terrible squeak, and I definitely heard that for the last 70 miles of the ride. And what that squeak was, a lot of people speculated it was the chain. It was not the chain. Had it been the chain, I probably would have tried to dump some water on there or dunk it in the creek to just try to work some grit out of there just to take the squeak away for the final stages of the ride. But it was actually the bearings in the hubs is what was squeaking because it would squeak, when I wasn't pedaling, and it was coming from both hubs. So it was a loud, noisy, squeaky experience, far louder than what the camera actually picked up because a lot of the wind noise was drowning out the squeak. But I got used to it. I didn't even notice it after a while until I came across, dog walkers or other pedestrians, and they looked back at me like I was coming in on a freight train. But it worked. It kept rolling. The bearings didn't seize. Maybe they offered a little bit more rolling resistance. But at the end of the day, it added a little bit of character to my ride, I suppose. I've not ridden the bike since that ride. Pushing it out here, they still squeak. Now, when the shifting got dialed in, it still shifted very slowly, which impacted me. I felt when I was coming down those steep descents into the valleys that would like lead me into like a sharp, punchy climb. I just could not shift smoothly into gears to kind of transition my momentum up those hills. It was kind of a clunky endeavor. Additionally, there was often times where I just felt the heat of cars on my heels on blind hills, and there was no shoulder, so they had to wait till I got over the crest of the hill before they had the visibility to pass me. So what I would do is I would pull into driveways and do loop-de-loops in driveways, and just clunking through the shifting was a real bummer. Slowed me down. It killed the momentum, and it was a little bit of a time setback, but it shifted. Sometimes I had to give that lever, a little bit of extra push, a little bit of extra encouragement, especially up on the front, to have it jump up on the bigger chain ring. But it did what it needed to do, and it did it for 101 miles. Not smoothly, not quietly, but it worked. So let's talk about pain. Having not trained for something like this, I was honestly expecting a little bit more pain with the level of discomfort that I was in as far as body positioning goes. The only pain I really experienced on the ride was on the outside of my left knee. My right knee was golden. It was good, which is strange because I actually have osteoarthritis in my right knee, but it was good. I had muscle fatigue, and my hip flexors and my quads just threatened to cramp up the last 10 to 15 miles. So I was really fearful that I would cramp and not be able to get out of those cramps, and it would really bring my ride to a halt. I did my best to drink tons of water. I brought these leg cramp pills I popped one as a preventative measure. I don't really feel like it did anything. I don't know what the ingredients were in it. Just said leg cramps on the front of the bottle, so um, figure it couldn't hurt me, so I gave it a shot. So the ride was, while it was uncomfortable, I thought I was going to have more fatigue in my neck, being in that position and looking up. And I actually didn't wear any type of backpack for that reason. I was afraid that a backpack and the weight on my shoulders would really create a lot of discomfort in my neck and trap muscles and my upper back muscles. So I went with the bum bag, the booty pack, the fanny pack, and that was actually pretty comfortable. I could kind of rotate it from the right side to the left side to the back to the front and distribute the weight. And it was comfortable. I didn't even recognize that it was there. Also, I had the camera, I had it either on my helmet or on my chest, and I tried to keep it on my chest as much as possible when I wasn't filming. And in hindsight, I should have filmed more from my chest because I think that was a better, more stable angle. But I thought by having it on my head, if somebody cruises by and throws beer at me or throws the middle finger at me or, throws chicken wings at me or something, if I turn to recognize and then dodge the weapon, I would capture that on video if it was on my helmet. But with it being on my helmet, the weight of the camera actually felt massive over the length of the ride. So knowing that, I tried to really keep that camera on my chest as much as possible when I wasn't filming. The wrists were good. I thought I was going to have more wrist pain because I'm not used to holding bars like this, and my hands, my palms, a little bit of soreness in my left palm. I think that's because when I filmed holding the camera, a lot of my body weight then went to my left hand, and my balance went to my left palm. But other than that, the hands and the palms were good. Most importantly, my butt was good on the whole ride. There was zero butt pain when I was done with my ride. No discomfort whatsoever during my ride. I picked it. One thing that I did invest in was a super cheap. It was like $6 or $9 chamois that I picked up, and I just slathered it in Desitin because I wasn't going to spend money on what do they call that stuff? The chamois butter or whatever. I didn't want to invest the money in it. I had an old tube of Desitin laying around, so I squeezed that in there, rubbed it around, squeezed it on the nether regions, and rubbed it around. And took me like 25 minutes to get it off my fingers, but it did the job. I think. I don't know what it would have been like if I didn't use Desitin, but Desitin and a chamois for the win. Zero pain. As far as the seat goes, I just pulled the seat off my mountain bike. It's a WTB Silverado seat. There's nothing special about it. To be honest with you, I've rarely sit on it when I mountain bike because I'm generally standing on my pedals riding downhill. So I've not put a lot of time on the seat. The seat's annoying as hell. It squeaks. It's got some sharp points on it that have torn my pants, so I don't like the seat. But I sat on it for 101 miles and it worked. It held me up. I did not put road tires on this. I looked online. I was thinking about putting a little bit more narrow road tires on the rims. These are 40 millimeter gravel tires, and I thought I'd improve my rolling resistance if I got road tires, maybe in a smaller diameter. Started looking online, and I just, while they weren't super expensive, it was just another price that I would have to justify. And I was like, these tires, I mean, they'll roll. Forget it. Let's just stick with the tires that came out of the box. Yeah, the brakes are not very good. I'm used to hydraulic brakes, and these cable actuated brakes. I did some cable tensioning, and no matter how I adjusted it, I just couldn't get a good grab point on the brakes. Um, they grab very, very close to whatever part of the handlebar that's called. I'm sure there's a name for it. Let me know in the comments below. So when I would brake, I'd have to use all four fingers, which is crazy to me because when I mountain bike, I use one finger. But I couldn't use one finger because my other fingers got in the way. Even if I had the strength and the leverage to use one finger, I just couldn't get to the braking point because my fingers were in the way. And there was a point where I didn't put it in the video, but I had to jump off of like a 3 set of steps because I couldn't brake in time. So I just had to commit to the drop. And it was a little ugly and uncomfortable. Ultimately, I cut out a lot of experiences from the video just because I was trying to keep the video within a reasonable time frame. 40 minutes seemed long to me. I'm very, very, very appreciative to anybody that watched all 40 minutes and took the time to leave a comment afterwards. It means a lot to me. I wasn't sure how this video would be perceived from the road crowd or even the mountain bike crowd for that matter. I didn't want the roadies to think that, I was unprepared and I wasn't taking it seriously and I was, putting a bad name on the sport or whatever because of that. And I didn't want mountain bikers to think that, I'm jumping ship and going road, even though there's no such thing as jumping ship. We're all one team. But there's a lot of negativity that could have come out of this. So I'm very much humbled by the feedback, and I can't thank everybody enough. So I have not ridden this bike since I got off of it in the video. Will there be a second ride? Yes, there will be a second ride. I'm not sure if I'm going to try to squeeze it in before winter or in the springtime. And I have two ideas, and I'm terrified of both of them. I'm not even going to say what they are right now, because if I speak them to even an audience of one and I don't carry through with it, it'll be an absolute failure in my mind, and that'll weigh heavily on me. So I will do a second ride. It will be bigger than a century ride, and I will capture that experience and post it on YouTube. I don't have any plans to do a century ride again in this area. Um, but that's not to say I won't. If somebody reaches out to me, another underdog like me, and wants to give it a shot, and they have the heart and the motivation to do it, and they just need somebody to kind of offer a little bit of confidence. I can't offer any wisdom as far as bike setup, as far as preparation, as far as nutrition. I can't offer any of that, but I can offer the experience of having done it once with no preparation, and with that, I can perhaps offer a little bit of positivity and motivation um, along the ride. So if there's any underdogs out there that want to give it a shot, reach out to me, and maybe we can make something happen. If it's something for charity, that would be super cool. What do I think about like the roadie experience? I thought it was super cool. I had a blast. It was like so much different than mountain biking. It really was, which is crazy because both instances you're on bikes with two wheels, but it was so wildly different. Um, it was cool to go on a journey that at one point you're 100% committed to, and it just offers you a different perspective on everything along the road. Typically you're in a car and you have the AC on, and you have your favorite song playing, and you have that expensive cup of coffee in your hand, and maybe if you have seat coolers, maybe your seat coolers are on, or your seat warmers, and you're just blazing, and you're just not appreciating the small things that you're passing by at 40, 45 miles an hour. On this ride, I really appreciated all the little things, the bushes, the birds, the squirrels, the trees and stuff, the fields, all the animals and stuff just going about their day that would have been completely unnoticed if I had gone by in a car. So that was super cool for me. And that is something that I really enjoy. And that is definitely a motivating factor to do more road rides in the future. What I will not miss whatsoever is the traffic in the cars. I found that I was less afraid of getting hit by a car because I feel like I'm street savvy, and I have enough common sense that I can avoid collisions. And I wasn't assuming everybody was going to treat me like another vehicle on the road, and I wasn't uh, playing by those rules that all other motorists should treat me like a vehicle on the road. But what I found that I was most concerned with was the anxiety of holding traffic up, and somebody being behind me, and that was tough for me. The general discomfort of getting in anybody's way in life has always been very uncomfortable for me, and I experienced that probably 50 to 100 times on that ride, and it was something that I do not miss. It's a reason why I love being in the woods on a bike, because the only person I'm holding up ever is myself in the woods. I think that's it. I can't think of anything else. I think that covers most everything that was asked in the comments. And if you have any other questions or comments, leave them below. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned for my second ride. I don't know if it's going to be on this bike. If there anybody out there that wants to sponsor me, reach out to me. I'll let you know what my ideas are, and maybe we can figure something out. If not, that's cool, man. I did it once on this bike. I can do it again on this bike. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Peace.